Hello everyone, welcome to MariaDB OpenWork 2023. My name is Pramod and I am working with MariaDB as a senior support engineer from 2017. In today's session, we are going to discuss about how to switch from MySQL and Percona to MariaDB. So, agenda for today's session is why one should consider using a MariaDB instead of using a Percona or MySQL server. What is the right time to switch over to MariaDB? Then we will discuss about the extensive JSON support within a MariaDB. Then we will also discuss about various methods of switching over to MariaDB from MySQL or Percona, then the steps that need to be followed during this in-place migration, few common errors, discussion about these common errors and their fixes. Then I will walk you through a demo where we will consider MariaDB, where I'm going to use MySQL 5.7.41 version, and we are going to perform in-place migration to 10.6.12 enterprise version of MariaDB. And finally, we are going to discuss about how to use MariaDB Migration Assessment Tool for your migration. So many of you might be thinking, why one should consider using a MariaDB? MariaDB offers both community and enterprise version of MariaDB, but we do recommend our customer to use enterprise version as this is built over community version with the aid of MySQL proxy and data security. And MariaDB enterprise version is secure version of community version with enterprise reliability, stability, and long-term support from MariaDB. So now some of you might be thinking of moving over to MariaDB. Let me tell you a few more benefits of switching over to MariaDB. From technical point of view, there are the multiple reasons to switch over to MariaDB. MariaDB Enterprise and Community, both versions provide server audit plugin, while MySQL and Percona server doesn't provide this server audit plugin with their community version. MySQL and MariaDB both support application failover, but there are few limitations with MySQL group replication, like it does not support replication filter. There was no encrypted connection till 5.7, and the maximum number of the node which can be a part of group replication is limit to 9. While talking about the end of support, MySQL and Percona 5.7 end of support declared as October 2023, which is around 6 months from now. So we have 6 months where one can plan to switch over to MariaDB from MySQL and Percona. Also, MySQL and Percona says once you upgraded to MySQL Percona 8.x version, downgrade is not possible, not even supported. So I believe this is the right time to take a decision to move over to MariaDB. So let's discuss about the JSON support in MariaDB, as this is also an important part of in-place migration. We do support JSON in MariaDB, but in text format rather than binary format, as you have seen in MySQL or Percona. JSON is much faster in MariaDB with text format compared to MySQL, so we do not have to store them in a binary format. In case if you want to move any such table to MariaDB, you can refer the mentioned link which explain how MariaDB understand MySQL JSON plugin. Or the alternate solution is to change the JSON column to text in MySQL or Percona server before you plan for your in-place migration. Now moving to next slide, we will be talking about the various method of switching over to MariaDB. The first option is in-place migration, where we are considering a standalone MySQL or Percona server with 5.5, or maybe it can be a 5.6 or 5.7, and we are going to replace the MySQL bindings with the MariaDB bindings. You can use either 10.5 or 10.6 version of MariaDB. As this is a standalone server, of course, we need a downtime for this. The second option is using a non-GTID application. In this case, consider you have a replication between two MySQL or Percona server using a non-GTID or GTID replication. Let's say if you have a replication using a GTID, you must convert this to non-GTID replication before you plan for in-place migration. So using a non-GTID replication, what we are doing in this case is we are going to consider the slave MySQL server, where we are going to replace the MySQL bindings with MariaDB bindings. And then we are going to enable non-GTID replication between MySQL or Percona to MariaDB. Then simply we have to add one more MariaDB slave server, and then we are going to enable a GTID replication from relay MariaDB server to slave MariaDB server. So this is how it will be. As you can see on the screen, this something like replication between MySQL to MariaDB using a non-GTID and GTID replication. In this slide, we are going to see the steps that need to be followed during our in-place migration. So these are few steps which we generally consider when we are going with the in-place migration. During this migration, we will encounter few errors which are very common and related to SYS schema, event scheduler, information schema, matrix status table, and InnoDB persistent statistic tables. Fixes of these errors are mentioned in the next slide. It's just all about dropping and deleting few of the schema and tables. No need to worry about all this dropping and deleting a schema or tables. These all will get repopulated once we run MariaDB upgrade command. Let's go through a demo. I'm using a database called OpenWork 2023 and Sakila for this in-place migration from MySQL to MariaDB. And I'm considering the MariaDB version as 10.6.12 enterprise version. So let's start with in-place migration. So as you can see on my screen, I'm already having a pre-installed MySQL community version, and the version is 5.7.41. And I'm having a database called OpenWork 2023 and Sakila from in-place migration from MySQL to MariaDB 10.6.12 enterprise version. So when you are dealing with in-place migration, make sure all the users must be using MySQL native password plugin. If any users which is not having a MySQL native password plugin, make sure you just change those user to use MySQL native password plugin using an alter command. So let's validate the users what exactly plugin they are using. So in my case, all users are using a MySQL native password plugin only. In case if you have any users which is not using, simply just you have to execute alter command to use the MySQL native password plugin for those users. Now, remove validate password plugin from MySQL or Percona server as this is not compatible with MariaDB. So we are going to remove this. As you can see from the screen, I have removed this validate password plugin from MySQL. Then validate the list of all views in MySQL server. So for secular database, I am having few views. You can see from my screen, those views are actor_info, customer_list, and so on. Then validate the list of all triggers within your MySQL server. Yeah, you can see for the user DB called Secular, we have few triggers. Then we are going to validate the list of all the stored procedure and function within our MySQL server. So you can see from the screen, we have few stored procedure and function for secular database. Then we are going to list out the tables which are having a partition defined for those tables. As you can see from the screen, we have a few tables for OpenWork where the table is having a partition with different name and having a different partition method. So we are going to remove the partition from all these tables because MySQL partition is not compatible with MariaDB. So before you plan for in-place migration, we have to remove this partition from these tables. Later on, once you are done with in-place migration, you can recreate those partitions. So I'm going to remove this partition from all the tables. So for that, I'm going to execute alter command, remove partition from those tables. This may take some time depending upon the size of your tables within your database. So as you can see, we are done with removing the partition from all these tables. Now, I'm having one table called product within OpenWork 2023 database, where a field called attribute is having a JSON data type. But in MariaDB, we are using long text instead of using a data type JSON to long text data type before we plan for in-place migration. So I'm going to execute alter command to convert this data type to long text. Then just describe this table once again. You can see the field called attributes data type has been converted to long text from JSON. Now we are going to stop the MySQL service and we'll check the error log. If anything is reported within error log based on the command which we have executed so far. So service got stopped. Now check the error log. Nothing is reported within error log. So we are good till now. Now I'm going to remove the MySQL bindings because we are going to replace the MySQL bindings with MariaDB. So for that, we have to remove. So we are done with removing the MySQL bindings. Now I'm going to install MariaDB bindings on this server. So from screen, you can see I'm installing MariaDB 10.6.12_7. It is nothing but it's an enterprise version of MariaDB 10.6.12. So you can see the package which I am installing on this server is backup, MariaDB server, MariaDB client, MariaDB common, MariaDB compact. Okay, so we are done with the MariaDB server installation. Now I'm going to replace the existing newly created configuration file with the old one. As we know, when we remove the package, it's going to save the existing configuration file with name called my.cnf.rpm save. So I'm going to replace the newly created with the old one, as MariaDB is going to read the same configuration file. Now you can verify the list of packages which we have installed for the MariaDB. So you can see here, these are the packages which we have installed for the MariaDB. Then we can start the MariaDB service now. Let's check out the error. If anything is reported within an error log. Yes, from the error log, you can see there are the few errors reported for MySQL.roll table, MySQL.roll_mapping. Then error is reported for MariaDB event scheduler. So this can be ignored at this stage. We are going to execute now MariaDB upgrade command, which will fix most of these errors. So let's execute MariaDB upgrade command. So after executing this MariaDB upgrade command, you can see we are seeing a new errors for sys schema. Okay, and which is talking about few of the tables within a sys schema got corrupted. So no need to worry about these errors. We are going to drop this sys schema, and again executing MariaDB upgrade command will populate the sys kind of error. Now let's also validate, or let's also check the error log if anything is reported within the error log after executing this MariaDB upgrade command. So when we executed command to review the error log, you can see some of the errors are reported for MySQL.InnoDB table states and then MySQL.InnoDB index states. So these two tables of MySQL is also reporting as a error for this table within a error log. So simply we don't have to do anything. We just need to log in into a MariaDB server. We have to drop the database called sys, and then we are going to drop these two tables as well, because these three things for which we are getting error in our error log as well as while executing a MariaDB upgrade command. So I'm going to log into a MariaDB server and going to drop and delete these tables. So I just dropped database called sys. Then I'm going to drop table called index states. Then I'm going to drop the table, which is nothing but it's a MariaDB table states. Now re-execute the MariaDB upgrade command with force option. Because we have already executed this command earlier, re-executing the same command, we have to use force option. After re-executing this command, you can see there are no further error reported for any of this schema. You can see from my screen, there is no further error. You can see here we have the sys schema and sys.sysconfig table do exist now. Now I'm going to restart the MariaDB service. Now check the error log and validate if any error is still reported there. I believe you won't see any error. So when we restarted the MariaDB service, after that you can see there is no error reported within error log. So we are good with in-place migration. Let's check out from inside, like what is the version we have for the MariaDB. So earlier, the MySQL version was 5.7.41. Now we have performed the in-place migration with MariaDB 10.6.12. As you can see from the server version on my screen, and now the server version is 10.6.12.7. It's a MariaDB enterprise version. Now, if you want to validate those stored procedure, views, and triggers, you just simply have to re-execute those commands. So let's re-execute those commands once again. So we do have those views. If you want to execute select star, you can do that from yes. So we can fetch the data from those views. Then we can validate those triggers. Yes, we do have those triggers now. Then we are going to validate the store procedure and function. Yes, they do exist even after performing in-place migration from MySQL to MariaDB. Now, when we check the partition for those tables, it won't be there because we have already removed those partition. In case if you want those partition, then you have to recreate those partition in MariaDB 10.6.12 enterprise version, because while performing the in-place migration, we have removed those partitions because those partitions were not compatible with MariaDB server. So yeah, we are done with in-place migration from MySQL to MariaDB. Now, this node can act as a standalone server or can be a part of GTID or non-GTID replication to MariaDB server. These migration steps are valid for switchover from MySQL and Percona 5.5, 5.6, and 5.7 to MariaDB 10.5 and 10.6. In our demo session, I have considered MariaDB 10.6 because we have the end of support defined, or I think it's August 2024. So we have enough time where you can perform all kind of testing on MariaDB server when you have already gone through the in-place migration from MySQL to MariaDB. Also, one can use our MariaDB Migration Assessment Tool. This will generate a compatibility report for MySQL and MariaDB based on your input and help you to evaluate and plan for your project migration. Also, I would recommend to all of you, please refer these links which talks about MySQL to MariaDB migration. So with this, we come to an end of our session. Hope you had a great time listening, and this will help you in taking a decision about considering MariaDB as your next database. Please do let me know in case if you have any query related to this talk. I'm happy to discuss on the same. Thank you all for attending this session. Hope you have a great day ahead. Bye.